Yes, I was born in Chicago, just a couple blocks from here, at Buckwood Reading Hospital.
Oh, wow.
And I was converted to condos. But it's always, a lot of people are very proud to say that they were born in Buckwood Reading. Um, uh, Three of my four grandparents are immigrants. On my dad's side, on the Catrambone side, it was somewhat of a typical immigration process. My grandfather came first, and then his brothers came one by one, and then his wife came. On my mom's side, my grandfather, let me go back. My father's family is from Calabria. And on my mom's side, my grandfather came from a small town right out of Naples, so he's Napolitano. And my grandmother was already born here in this neighborhood, in fact. So, and he became an American citizen by fighting in World War I. Oh. That was common. That maybe talk to Professor Kane-Lair about that. So it was a way to speed up your citizenship, and the government needed people to fight.
Sure.
So, and then he lived in the 60s when there was a second large wave of immigration, which Dr. Kane-Lair spoke about. My grandfather, this is on my mom's side, he sponsored a lot of people because you needed to have a sponsor. You needed someone who could get you a job. Mm-hmm. And he was able to get a lot of his paisanes jobs because by that time in the 60s, he was a foreman or higher at Nabisco, was a large factory on the southwest side. And so, so he really, both my grandfathers really typified the immigrant experience. So he came here and was able to get into business and then help others. My maternal grandfather, Catrambone, he came and over the course of times had a grocery store and a fish store and a trucking company, and he owned a couple buildings. So they both very hardworking, taught their children.
Do you know why they left Italy to come here?
No money, no job, no prospect. Years and years later, I went back to the town that my grandfather's from, and a cousin said that he did not see a banana until like after World War II.
Really?
Yeah. So southern. That's why most of the immigrants are southern Italy and Sicily, because of the extreme poverty that was there in the 1800s and early 1900s. So they just like all immigrants, you come for a better life. And I don't think my Grandpa Catrambone ever went back. Grandpa Catrambone went back many, many, many years later for a visit.
Okay.
My Grandpa Dan's on my mom's side, I think he went at least once as a tourist. Maybe twice. I want to go back, they just couldn't afford it.
Do you know if they enjoyed being in America, or was it hard to transition?
Well, I wasn't around then.
Yeah.
But they, you would hear certain stories, but I really think for them it was a case of not really coming here and not really looking back, because they needed to make a life here, and they had families to support. So, I think it might have been difficult at first, but in fact, my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, not only did he leave his wife, but he left a new baby. So that was hard, but he, in fact, when he came, he worked on the railroads and was building the tracks, like going out to Colorado, and then came back to Chicago, which we're always so grateful because otherwise we would have, been born in Colorado.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was just hard work, honest work, family, and just do the best you can.
So, can you tell me about your family? Do you have any siblings, or it's just yourself?
No,
Yeah.
I'm the oldest of five, so my dad was the youngest, like 8 or so, and my mom was one of three, and then they got married in 1950, and I was born in 1951, and I'm the oldest of five. There are 4 girls and 1 boy. And all of us were born at Mother Cabrini Hospital.
Oh, wow.
What else?
Well, can you tell me more? Like, was it a lively household with the 5 of you children, or was it fun? Like, what was it like growing up?
No, generally it was fun. I mean, there were times when, money was tight, but we grew up in the Italian neighborhood that's just 1 mile west of here. It's part of Taylor Street, but all the hospitals physically separate the two.
Okay.
And so my mom was from this side, my dad was from the other side. And everyone was in the same boat, so you really didn't notice that you didn't have a lot. I noticed it when I would go to a Hollywood movie, and it was like, man, they have a lot of clothes, they have a lot of stuff. But we had what we needed. And but things like, air conditioning wasn't a big deal. A lot of people didn't have air conditioning, so there were times, and this was true like in the 30s and 40s, but I was born in the 50s, and it was still true in the 50s and 60s, that sometimes you went to a movie because of the air conditioning. And the other thing that I know my nieces and nephews are surprised that we had 1 TV, and we had a TV pretty much. I think my parents had one pretty much from the time they were married, because TV started coming in the 40s, and we had 1 TV, and so you had to negotiate. You couldn't tape something and watch it later. If 2 favorite shows were on at the same time, then maybe it'd be like, well, this week you watch your show, and next week we'll watch somebody else's show. So, and that's just what it was like. So you didn't, we went to Catholic school, had nuns, and which I'm very grateful because got good education. Spaghetti every Sunday, and usually on Wednesdays. And it wasn't Sunday unless you had Italian food. My father would get really upset if my mother, decided to make a roast. It was like, what? It's Sunday. You don't make a roast on Sunday.
Did your mom do all the cooking in the house?
Yeah, right. So she did not work. She raised 5 children. My dad worked in the trucking company that my grandfather had started. By that time, they had sold the grocery store, and the fish store had closed. So long before I was born. So my dad and uncle took over the trucking company, and unfortunately I never met my grandfather because he died a couple years before my parents were married. What was nice about that, because we lived in the neighborhood, we played outside. My dad drove the truck, and so he sometimes would stop home for lunch, so we could get to see him for a couple minutes. It also meant, and this is something I think kids don't realize, because up and down the street you would have relatives who lived on the street and friends, and so you really couldn't misbehave because somebody would catch you. And we never knew when my dad was going to come home for lunch. So I think there was a sense of safety there too, but also you really could not get away with too much. If you like try to smoke a cigarette, somebody would see you, that kind of thing. And
it was a close community that you could
Very much. It was just up and down the block, very much so. And my dad would take turns taking us with us up the road. Oh, I would thought about this for a while. He'd come home from lunch maybe and take one of us with him on the truck.
Oh.
And we would do his stops. So that was always fun. Sitting in the front seat of the dirty old truck, But so we felt honored. So that was the other thing. There was a lot of honesty in work. And very few people went at that time from the neighbor went to college. I was one of the first in my family to go to college. So it was always an honesty and truth in doing work with your hands. And it was always like, in the family, there would be the electrician and the plumber, and, so people you could call on. And so you didn't have to call a stranger. And Americans, you don't find Americans. There's one of us. We'll find somebody to do it. And that added to the closeness of it. And then also growing up, our cousins were our friends. We had friends, of course, in the neighborhood and in school, but you really looked upon your cousins as your friends. And to this day, we're close. And I see it in the younger generations in my family. So it's nice to see, like, my cousins' kids being close with their cousins. Because that's just kind of like a real, true friendship. You can have friends from grammar school or high school or college, but you don't necessarily stay with them. But you can't just stay with your family, So I think those bonds last longer. And the same thing, my dad was real close with his cousins, and my mom with her cousins. So it's just very natural to do that. And so that really adds, I think, to the richness of the family. And in our case, we have a family picnic every year that, for more than 50 years, in fact, maybe it's even 60. I think we had our 60th not long ago. And so that was started because, like, a lot of, especially as the family gets bigger, for some people, you only see them at wakes and weddings. And so a cousin had died kind of young. And someone said, we should not just meet at weddings and wakes. And so we started a picnic the first Sunday of every August. So it's the first Sunday of every August. And so if you plan a vacation, everybody says, what? You're going on vacation? Don't you know it's the first Sunday of August? And, of course, we have Italian food, homemade food, and play games. And one thing that was started maybe I said the picnic's about 60 years old, and I think maybe 30 years ago or so. I don't know, is the movie Lion King, I don't know how old that is, but
Or 80s?
Okay, well, that would be... Anyway, I think it was inspired from that because in the movie, and I've never seen the movie, but when one character holds up the baby.
Yeah.
And so we do that at the picnic.
Oh.
So any babies who were born the previous, between picnics.
Yeah.
And then, if you didn't make the picnic before, so basically if you haven't been introduced at the picnic, your parents will hold you up and we applaud. And we have a moment of silence for people who have died. And we have a golf outing, and we have a traveling trophy that, you get your name engraved on. I'm not a golfer, so my name will never be on the trophy, but the cousin who won it last year, so excited because he was like 60s, never won it. His dad won it once. He brings it to every family function.
Oh no, you're kidding.
I'll see him at Easter, and the trophy will be there.
Oh, how fun.
And then I'm sure we'll have to pry it out of his hands in August when it's time for him to pass it on to the next winner.
That's great.
So it's nice having those traditions and trying to pass it on to the younger generation. So I think a lot of us in the